Hello class. For this video I decided to have Papa Francesco behind me because today I want to review a book that I mostly recommend. It's not my favorite book, but I enjoyed it. It's actually called Across 5 Aprils, and here it is. I actually have a copy from I actually pulled this from my shelf in the back of the classroom. And as you can see, somebody did not return it to the medical or surgical book movie cart. I have no idea where this book came from. I just found it on my shelf, and I'm keeping it. There it is. It's historical fiction, not exciting, but a very. If you like more personal stories and you still want to learn some history, basically this is a good one. It takes place across 5 Aprils, during the Civil War, and so because if you might have, in case you remember or forgot, the Civil War began in April 1861 and then ended in April 1865. So the Civil War, the American Civil War, had 5 different Aprils in it. So, and it's a story about a young boy who, he doesn't go to war. So if you're expecting battle scenes, this is not the book for you. He lives, if I remember right, in Illinois. I do believe he was, I don't remember exactly, but he lives in the north and somewhere near the south. So I think it was, or it might have been Ohio, but somewhere where a southern state is nearby. And what he has 2 brothers, one who goes and joins the Northern Army, the Union, and another brother who decides that the Confederacy are on the right side, and it's not anything about slavery. He does, because remember, a lot of people didn't fight specifically about slavery. Although slavery was the #1 cause of the Civil War, most people would say they weren't fighting over slavery. They were fighting over states' rights. The southern states wanted the right to, say, own slaves. And that's why I'm having you guys memorize the 10th Amendment, because the 10th Amendment actually allowed slavery, according to how many people interpreted it, that if there wasn't a law specifically outlined in the Constitution, then the 10th Amendment says that's going to be left up to the states. And so slavery fell under that category. And we haven't really gotten into, and we didn't really get into that yet because I just had you guys starting to memorize the 10th Amendment, but we will talk about that soon. So a lot of southern states saw the Civil War as not a slavery fight, but a 10th Amendment fight about protection of the 10th Amendment. And many people said, I don't like slavery, but the Constitution is essential to our country, and so we are fighting for the protection of the 10th Amendment. Right or wrong, not even going to go into that, but understand that back to this, the boy, he has his brother go and fight, and for the South and one for the North. And so basically there's a lot of historical things that happen, but it's the family hearing about it. And so it's a very touching book. It's, like I said, there aren't any battle scenes. If you want Civil War battle scenes, I would recommend different books. Maybe get a video of a few of those. I do have actually some pretty good, fun books that I would recommend. But this one is more actually the human side, and actually the tragic side of the war, because what you learn from this and get the feel of is how the war affected families, and how it literally is the war of brother versus brother, where you actually had neighbor versus neighbor, father versus son. So in fact, there's a short story written by Ambrose Bierce about a man, a young teenager, if I remember right. And he's out on patrol, and he's a Confederate soldier, and he sees a Union soldier up on the hill, and he shoots the Union soldier, and then comes and looks at it and finds out it's his own father. And, kind of nonchalantly, in an unemotional way, goes back to his fellow soldiers and says, yeah, that was my dad. And it's a very jarring story that in many ways could have been true. It's not a true story specifically. That's Ambrose Bierce writing fiction. But what he was pointing out was the tragedy of the Civil War, that it really was families fighting against each other. People who in other situations would have fought next to each other over some issue, but then turned against each other over what really was a constitutional crisis. So I do recommend it if you, for, basically any age. It's, I don't remember exactly the AR level if you want that, accelerated reader level, but it's a book that I've taught in 5th grade at my old school. I had a 4 or 5 combo class, and both 4th, 5th graders, they read it, and they didn't all rave about it. So it's a good one. Like I said, as long as you understand, you're getting history, but from just a human, personal perspective, it's a very calm, reflective book, a very beautiful book, more poetry or poetic than action-packed. So there it is. Across 5 Aprils, another book recommendation. Enjoy.